Okay, so I still cannot get over the part where this guy is literally on the USS Arizona during Pearl Harbor.
Right, yeah.
Like, he survives that absolute nightmare, manages to build this massive radio career, and then just casually retires at 35.
Yeah.
Like, who actually pulls that off?
It's an insane trajectory. But, I mean, I think going through something that harrowing that early in life, it kind of forces a clarity, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Like, you don't really have the patience to just drift through the rest of your decades after that.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Anyway, I'm looking over our notes here for you, for the listener, on this 1950s essay of his, The Strangest Secret.
The classic.
Right. And I can be honest, I was a little skeptical at first, just because it's, from the
Yeah.
50s. But the opening statistics he drops, they hit really hard.
Well, because human nature hasn't fundamentally changed, like, at all.
Exactly. So he says, take 100 eager, optimistic 25-year-olds, just average people who believe they're going to build a great life.
They've got that blind optimism.
Yeah, that invincible 20s energy. But you fast forward 40 years, by the time they hit age 65, out of those same 100 people, only one will be rich.
At least one.
4 will be financially independent. 5 will still be working. And a massive 54 of them will be completely broke, like depending on others just for the basic necessities of life.
It's staggering.
I mean, holy shit, that's a 95% failure rate.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But wait, let me push back on that for a second.
Yeah.
Because he's writing this in what, 1956?
Yeah, 1956.
Is that just a reflection of a different economic era? Because my immediate reaction is, well, sure, the safety nets were completely different back then, or maybe the economic structure just set them up for that.
I mean, it's a fair question, but if you actually look at modern retirement data, the core disparity maps remarkably well to today.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. We obviously have different economic pressures now, but the percentage of the population reaching 65 with virtually zero assets, entirely dependent on government aid or family, it's still overwhelmingly the majority. The attrition rate totally holds up. You go from 100% believing they'll succeed down to, like, 5% actually achieving some form of independence. Nightingale frames this with a quote from Dr. Albert Schweitzer.
Oh, I love this part.
Right. So a reporter asked Schweitzer, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" And Schweitzer just paused and said, "Men simply don't think."
Men simply don't think. Damn. That is brutal.
Brutal, but accurate. And honestly, that's the whole mission of what we're mapping out here before we hit record for the official show.
Yeah.
We need to figure out exactly why that massive disparity exists, like what happens to that 25-year-old optimism, and more importantly, how you, the person listening to this right now, can avoid ending up in that 95%.
Because obviously nobody sits down at 25 and, plans to be in the 54 that end up broke.
No, nobody plans for that.
It just kind of happens by default.
Yeah.
So to avoid being in the 95%, we have to know what the 5% are actually doing differently. And Nightingale defines it right away.
Yes, he says, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
I love that phrasing so much. Progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
It's very intentional.
Right, because when we hear the word success, especially today, we instantly think of, like, a billionaire tech bro or somebody flexing on a yacht on Instagram.
A modern hustle culture version.
Exactly. But Nightingale explicitly points out that a success is the school teacher who is teaching, because that is exactly what they want to do.
Or the entrepreneur starting a small business, or a mechanic who just wanted to run their own shop.
Right. It's about intentionality. It's almost like playing a massive open-world video game. If you don't pick a quest, you're literally just wandering around getting punched by random NPCs.
That is a very accurate analogy.
The 5% are the ones who actually selected a mission and are, walking toward it.
Which brings up the obvious barrier. Because if it really is just about picking a quest, having a goal, and moving toward it, why do 95% of people fail to do something so seemingly simple?
Yeah, what's the trap?
So Nightingale pulls in a concept from Rollo May, the psychiatrist who wrote Man's Search for Himself. May says, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it is conformity.
Conformity, just acting like everyone else without having a single clue why you're doing it or where you're even going.
Exactly. But we have to look at why we do that, right?
Yeah.
Nightingale calls it out, but if we dig into the psychology of it, conformity isn't a conscious choice to be lazy. It's actually an evolutionary survival mechanism.
What do you mean, like herd mentality?
Exactly that. For hundreds of thousands of years on the Savanna, standing out from the herd or doing something entirely on your own usually meant you got eaten by a predator.
Oh, right. You get separated, you die.
Precisely. Our brains are hardwired to seek safety in numbers. If everyone else is doing it, our brain says, okay, this must be the safe route.
Yeah.
The problem is that biological hardware is completely maladaptive for modern financial or personal fulfillment.
Oh, wow. Okay. That makes so much sense. Because the timeline Nightingale lays out is fucking crazy when you step back and look at it.
It really is.
We learn to read by the time we're 7. We learn to make a living by 30, usually supporting a whole family. But by 65, in historically the richest era on Earth, we haven't learned how to be financially independent.
Because we're just copying our neighbors.
Yes. It's because we're using that Savanna brain. We just look around and copy the people next to us, completely ignoring the fact that the people next to us are the 95%.
We don't even check their credentials.
No. We're conforming our way into being broke because biology tells us it's safe to be like everyone else.
We're acting like the 95% because it feels socially safe, even if it's practically disastrous. And Nightingale uses this incredible naval analogy to explain the mechanics of this. He compares people to ships.
Oh, the ship analogy. Yes. This is so good.
Think of a ship with a complete voyage mapped out.
Sure.
The captain and the crew know exactly where they are going. They know the route. They know how long it's going to take. Nightingale argues that 9,999 times out of 10,000, that ship is going to reach its destination because it has a defined purpose.
Right. But then, and this is the wild part, you take the exact same ship, same steel, same massive engines, but you strip off the captain and the crew.
It's just an empty vessel.
Yeah. You give it no aiming point, no destination.
Yeah.
You just turn the engines on full blast and let it go. What happens?
Disaster.
Exactly. If it even manages to get out of the harbor without crashing, it either stinks in a storm or just washes up on some random deserted beach as a derelict piece of junk. It has all the power in the world, but it literally can't go anywhere meaningful because it has zero guidance.
And tying it back to conformity, Nightingale points out that human society is structured like a naval convoy in wartime.
What does that mean?
So an entire fleet slows down to protect its weakest link. Society operates at a speed that permits the slowest vessel to remain in formation. That's our modern plateau of quote-unquote security. It takes no particular genius or massive effort to just make a living today. The baseline safety net, the herd, is there.
It's built for the slowest ship.
Right. So the only way to actually succeed, to break out of that 95%, is to consciously decide how high above that basic slow-moving plateau you want to aim.
You literally have to build your own map,
Yeah.
which leads right to the title of the essay, The Strangest Secret. And the funny part to me is he admits right up front, it's not actually a secret at all.
It's the furthest thing from a secret.
Right. It's in the Bible. It's been preached by ancient philosophers for thousands of years. But it remains a secret because people just refuse to believe it or, they think it's too simple.
They want a complex hack.
Yes. And the secret is literally just 6 words.
We become what we think about.
We become what we think about. It is the one point of complete, almost unanimous agreement among the greatest minds in history.
I mean, before we get into the heavy hitters he quotes, can we just acknowledge the absolute irony of how this specific message blew up? Oh, the origin story is amazing.
Because this was never meant to be a commercial product.
No, not at all. So it was 1956, and Nightingale was running a life insurance agency. He was about to go on a long vacation, and he was getting worried his sales staff was going to completely slack off while he was gone.
So he literally just records this essay on a vinyl record as an out-of-office motivational message to his employees. Hey guys, don't forget to work hard. Listen to this while I'm on the beach.
Yeah, just trying to keep morale up. And they loved it so much they started asking for copies for their friends, their family.
That's wild.
The demand got so insane that Columbia Records had to step in and produce it commercially. It ended up becoming the very first spoken word record to ever hit gold. Over 1 million copies sold.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
A vacation out-of-office message goes gold because the truth in it is so universal.
Universally recognized.
Yeah. And he backs it up with Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who said, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." He quotes William James and George Bernard Shaw, who said that people always blame their circumstances, but the successful people are the ones who get up and look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them.
So true. But let's dig into how that actually works, because we become what we think about can sound a bit like, I don't know, magical thinking or woo-woo manifestation if you don't understand the real mechanism behind it.
Yeah, please, because when I first read that, My skeptic alarm immediately went off. Like, I can sit on my couch and think about $1 million all day long, but a giant bag of cash isn't going to drop through my ceiling.
Right, it's not magic, it's neurology. It comes down to something called the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
The RAS.
Like, it's a bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so the important stuff actually gets through. Your brain is processing millions of bits of data every single second. If you didn't have a filter, you would literally go insane.
Okay, I follow you.
So your RAS decides what gets through to your conscious awareness based on what you focus on. When you set a concrete, worthwhile goal, and you think about it constantly, you are literally programming your RAS to highlight opportunities, resources, and connections in your environment that align with that goal.
Wait.
Stuff you would have previously just ignored as background noise.
Oh, it's like when you buy a new car. You buy, I don't know, red Honda Civic,
Yeah,
and suddenly everywhere you drive, you see red Honda Civics.
exactly. The red car syndrome.
The cars were always there. Your brain just didn't care about them before, so it filtered them out. But once it becomes your focus, your brain flags it as important.
That is the exact mechanism.
So if your goal is, say, starting a bakery, suddenly you're noticing for rent signs on commercial properties you used to just walk past blindly. You're overhearing conversations about supply chains. You aren't magically manifesting the bakery. Your brain is just finally allowing you to see the path to it.
Precisely. A person thinking about a concrete goal reaches it because that is what structurally occupies their mind. Conversely, the person with no goal, whose mind is just a soup of confusion, anxiety, and fear.
Oh, man.
Their RAS is programmed to find threats and obstacles. They create a life of frustration because that is what their brain is actively filtering for.
Which brings us to the farmer's land analogy. Because if this system is so powerful, why is it ruining the lives of the 95%?
Right, the double-edged sword.
Yeah. Nightingale says the human mind is like a plot of incredibly fertile soil. And here's the terrifying part about soil. It does not care what you plant in it.
It has zero moral filter.
None. The land gives the farmer a choice. If you plant two seeds, one is corn and the other is nightshade, a deadly poison, and you water them both, the land will return both in wonderful abundance.
It grows the poison just as efficiently as it grows the corn.
Exactly. As ye sow, so shall you reap. The mind works the exact same way. It doesn't care if you plant a worthwhile goal or if you plant anxiety, bitterness, and fear. Whatever you plant, it absolutely must return to you.
And this highlights a really bizarre paradox in human behavior that Nightingale points out. We treat our minds, this unbelievably powerful, fertile soil, like a garbage dump.
Yes, because we get it for free.
Right.
He argues that we get our most valuable assets entirely for free at birth. Our minds, our souls, our bodies, our intelligence, all standard equipment, zero cost. But human nature dictates that we place very little value on things that are given to us for free.
We only value what we pay for.
Which is so backwards. Think about it. If you drop $1,000 on a new smartphone, you buy a case for it, you get a screen protector, you freak out if you drop it.
Yeah, you treat it like a baby.
Right. We protect these cheap manufactured things. If a house burns down, you can rebuild it. A good entrepreneur goes bankrupt, they can make another fortune. Those things are easily replaceable.
Yeah.
But you can never, ever replace a damaged mind or a broken body. Yet we use our minds for tiny, reactive, trivial arguments on the internet instead of massive, life-altering projects.
Which brings up that really great visual he had while driving through eastern Arizona.
Oh man, the Earth Mover. This is badass.
Set the scene for them.
So he's driving along the road, and he sees this giant earth-moving machine, this tremendous, roaring piece of machinery carrying something like 30 tons of dirt. Just immense raw power. And perched way up on the very top of this behemoth is a tiny little man with his hands on the steering wheel, guiding the whole thing.
It's the ultimate metaphor for the human condition.
It really is. And he just lays the challenge right out. You're in the driver's seat of this insane power. Are you going to keep your hands firmly on the wheel and steer this machine toward a specific worthwhile purpose? Or are you going to fold your arms, sit back, and just let it drive into a fucking ditch?
It's a binary choice. You either direct it or it directs you into the ditch with the 95%. So the logical next question is, how do we actually grab that steering wheel today?
Yeah, what's the actual practical step?
Nightingale doesn't just leave it at abstract philosophy. He gives a very strict 30-day action plan.
Let's break those steps down. Because on paper they sound simple, but in reality they're incredibly difficult.
So, step 1. Write down a single, clearly defined goal on a card. Not a bunch of conflicting goals, just one. And you look at it several times a day, morning, noon, and right before bed. Think about it in a cheerful, relaxed, positive way.
Because the moment you write it down, you're officially a ship with a destination. You've given your RAS a target.
Exactly. But step 2 is where the real friction happens. He says you have to stop thinking about what you fear. Every single time a negative or fearful thought pops into your mind, you have to replace it with a mental picture of that positive goal.
Okay, I have to jump in here because this is where I call bullshit on the simplicity of this. Stop thinking about fear. That is nearly impossible.
It is really hard.
Like if I tell you right now, do not think of a pink elephant, what is the literal only thing in your brain? A pink elephant. You can't just command your brain to delete a thought.
You're absolutely right. And from a cognitive behavioral standpoint, trying to suppress a thought actually amplifies it. That's why Nightingale's specific phrasing is crucial here. He doesn't just say stop thinking it. He says you must actively replace it with the positive mental picture.
So it's not deletion, it's substitution.
Right. It's neuroplasticity in action. Your brain is used to taking the neural pathway of fear because it's a well-worn highway. To stop taking that highway, you can't just put up a roadblock. You have to build a whole new road.
Oh, I see.
So the moment the fear triggers, you use it as a cue to visualize the goal. It is going to be exhausting for the first few weeks. He even warns us that it is infinitely easier for a human being to think negatively than positively.
Which again traces back to that evolutionary survival instinct. Fear kept us alive on the Savanna.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But you have to push through it. And then step 3, which is probably the most counterintuitive part for modern hustle culture, rendering service. Nightingale says your success will always be measured by the quality and quantity of the service you render. Earning money is the result of success, not the cause.
Success is in direct proportion to your service.
Yes.
The stove analogy for this is painfully accurate. He says most people have the law of success completely backward. They're like a guy standing in front of a freezing cold stove, shivering, and saying to the stove, give me heat, and then I'll put the wood in.
It's completely absurd when you visualize it.
But millions of people live their entire lives this way. It's the ultimate entitlement trap. They stand around at their job saying, pay me more, give me the promotion, give me the six-figure salary, and then I'll start working hard. Then I'll provide real value.
It doesn't work like that.
No. It defies basic physics. You have to put the fuel in before you get the heat. You have to build the skill, create the product, and serve the market first before you can ever expect the money to follow.
It's pure cause and effect. And there's a brilliant visual integration of this concept right on the original cover of the book.
Oh yeah, the artwork.
If you look at the cover, it's a silhouette of a person walking up this curved track. It almost looks like a ladder made out of railroad ties, and they are heading upward directly toward a bright, radiant light source.
I see it. It's very stark.
It captures exactly what Nightingale is talking about. The path to the 5% isn't a flat road, it's an ascent. It requires massive effort. Every single one of those railroad ties is an act of service, a day of holding your mind on your goal instead of giving into fear.
Wow.
You are literally laying down the tracks step by step toward that worthy ideal, rather than just drifting passively in the dark.
Drifting like the derelict ship.
Exactly. You are building the infrastructure of your own success through your thoughts and your service.
That's a really powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to wrap up this prep session and actually do the official recording soon, but Nightingale does leave a prescription for the listener that we definitely need to include.
The dosage.
Yeah. He says you shouldn't just engage with this material once. His literal prescription is to read or listen to this message twice a month for the next 10 years, and then once a month forever.
Because the gravity of the 95% is constantly trying to pull you back in. The conformity is literally everywhere.
Right. It takes active maintenance.
And that actually brings up one final heavy thought I want to throw out there for you to chew on before we record.
Yippee.
Think back to that farmer's soil analogy. The mind returns whatever we plant in it, good or bad, with absolutely zero filter. Nightingale was talking about this in 1956 when media was basically just the radio, newspapers, and like a handful of TV channels.
A much quieter world.
Vastly quieter. Now we live in an era of constant, chaotic media algorithms perfectly designed by engineers to hijack our RAS.
Oh, God.
To keep us addicted, outraged, and fearful because that generates ad revenue. So the question we have to seriously ask ourselves today is, if the mind returns exactly whatever we plant in it, what passive toxic seeds are we letting TikTok, Twitter, and the 24-hour news cycle plant in our incredibly fertile minds every single day without us even realizing it.
Damn, that's heavy and terrifying, honestly. Because if you aren't actively planting the corn, the algorithms are absolutely planting the nightshade for you.
Exactly.
Whew, okay, so you're ready to actually record this thing? Let's hit the button.